Thank you very much for inviting us. As I said, on behalf of our team, thank you for participating. We are looking forward to have some productive feedback for all the policy designing. And I'll start by a phrase of Mr. Garcia that it said it is rather complicated how to attain those targets. And this is what we face on an everyday basis. Because although we apprehend those targets and we have set them as well, sometimes it's a very difficult task from a policy perspective to match it with reality. So I'm going to start with my first presentation. I'm going to open up a little bit the scenery, and I'll take some targets from the NECP. NECP is our National Energy and Climate Plan. And what we have tried, it is to match or to attain all targets possible. It's kind of complicated, but I'm gonna say you now. When we drafted the NECP, we have a target, as you can see, to get at least 40% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, with a new climate law, we are going to a net 55% reduction, which is under discussion, but is more or less decided. Then we have a target to attain resin cross consumption 35%, which means 37% up to 2030 in heating and cooling, and 38% in savings, and that's energy efficiency. Why do I say that, all those three targets? Because we have a view, apart from 2030 and the renovation wave and the percentage of building upgrade that we're going to see further down the presentation. What we have in mind is that to talk about decarbonized building by 2050. So in order to do that, we have to think first to reduce demand and then to cover this demand by RES technologies. Now, opening up, and in relation to the previous slide, we have a legislation in our law. It's Law 4342 of 2015. And this is the information also for the European Commission colleagues. We have concluded all the consultation, but unfortunately yet we have not entered the transposition of Directive 2002 into Parliament yet. This is rather the typical procedure that was delayed. And under this legislation, we have certain schemes which we consider to be valuable to attain our targets. Among them, I'm going to go very, very fast. It's the obligation scheme, which is we have companies, apart from the target that we cover by alternative measures. By saying alternative measures, with those who are not familiar, what we mean is that all those financed by the government. One such measure that most of you are already very, very familiar is Save at Home, or Execonomo Autonomo, which is the newest scheme. But apart from that, is certain measures, certain percentage of the target up to the period 2020, 10% of our target of cumulative savings was covered by the obligated parties, which are companies from the oil sector, natural gas sector, and the electricity sector, that they assume certain initiatives in order to, let's say, help assist to the national effort. Another major area for us is energy audits, and this is more complicated, more, I presume that you're aware, but it's definitely different than an energy inspection that you were referring or discussing with so far. And this is a tool that we intend to use in most of our programs in the tertiary and the public sector. So far for Save at Home that I mentioned already, we used the EPCs, but for the tertiary sectors programs and the public sector programs, what we expect or we anticipate or we have designed, even if you want, is to perform an energy audit. And last but not least, under this field, we have energy efficiency options. This is a really, really new tool. This is basically, um, we you haven't heard, you haven't seen that because we first there has to be the transposition of the new directive in order for the the energy efficiency options to start to be launched. Basically, this is tertiary and secondary and tertiary sector energy upgrade of buildings, but there is a different perspective. It's based on the ratio of cost and savings provided. So if you want, at some point later, I can present you, but I don't want to take more time. Now, the two areas, now I'll come to the APPD, the transposition, which is we was transposed by Law 4142 2013. Now the new directive, the recast of EPPD, the 8044 of 2018, was transposed recently, and it was the amendment of legislation 4122. What has remained the same is the building regulation and the building codes, the NACs, but as we speak, there is an ongoing procedure to have some amendments to the building codes and to align them with the NZEM buildings and the requirements for the NZEM buildings that we want to attain. Now, my question mark in the last, well, square, whatever, it's what are the next steps in this, and it is associated with the long-term renovation strategy we have issued very recently, just 10 days ago. And there we are thinking, these are the next steps we are thinking in relation to EED, EPPD, and long-term strategy and the overall targets for energy efficiency and BESS. Are we going to introduce building passports? This is something that is going to be assessed very, very soon. Actually, we are assessing it, and also we are following very, very closely the procedure of the SRI, which is the Smart Building Indicator, and this is something that we are thinking about it for the next day. I mentioned a little bit about the obligation scheme. I mentioned about the energy audit, and we finished the first period, and we're evaluating how this has, well, the problems that actually we have seen, the malfunctions of the system, new steps and new measures that or changes that we are thinking of introducing. One new thing that actually it's more or less an amendment, it's the energy efficiency plans for municipalities. And this is the link where you can see the new template that we have issued. And this is accompanied by macroeconomic analysis, actually the guidance for macroeconomic analysis. We are pushing for the energy management managers, especially in the public sector, and this is one of the criteria for the public programs. And well, I'll talk to you later about the public program. So far, we have 60 managers for 450 buildings, which is, as you understand, it's not very efficient. It's not very easy to follow and pick up for all those buildings, and to be able to suggest the changes and to manage the buildings properly. So this is We have set up a platform, still though, unfortunately, there's a sort of bugs because it's an IT platform, and this is going to associate building cert, which is the information from the EPCs, plus the information from the consumption of the energy managers, or if the energy manager of each building will put into this platform, and then eventually at the end of the day, it will facilitate their job. ESCO registry, the energy efficiency to energy performance contracts, and generally through PPPs is one of our measures, and I'll refer to that afterwards. So far, we have 57 ESCOs involved. The energy efficiency options that I mentioned, and last but not least, is the change that we have to the primary energy the performance. The, the conversion factor between primary and final energy consumption. So far in the building codes, it was 2.9. Now with the new legislation, the amended legislation, it will be 2.1. As I said, we are in the process of having an update of the technical guidelines of the building, of the regulation for buildings. And we have launched a cost optimal tendering, which is an obligation that we have to fulfill by 2023. The results might lead us to further amendment or changes to the building codes. And we are working on the update. There is a ministerial decision for the life cycle of each products and equipment. And this is something, excuse me, apologize, we're working on. Now, all these are related to the renovation weight that Mr. Garcia has already presented to you in more detail from the perspective of the European Commission. And this is where we come and we say the EPPD recast is associated to us with the building passports and the SRI. Now, I'm coming a little bit to certain issues that to us are very important. As I already mentioned, the long-term strategy for the national building stock is something that we elaborated 10 days ago. And it is, I don't have actually the link, but I can very well provide that to you. You can see there is what is the situation we anticipate for the building stock in 2030, and what are the technologies, gradually the shifting technologies for 2040 and 2050. And then for the public sector, we have we are going to launch the Electra program, which is going to finance energy efficiency interventions in the general government, not only central government buildings, but also provides for the participation of investors or energy companies, and mainly through energy audits. This is something that I told you that we're moving from EPCs to energy audits. The Electra program is co-financed with EIB, the European Bank, and the program is financed, and we are looking for the further financing under the renovation and the resilience fund. But also there are a few details still needs to be addressed, such as the green bonds, and there are issues that they have not been resolved at European level. Last but not least, in this section, it's the Energy Poverty Action Plan. We have concluded with that, with the measures for short-term and medium and long-term actions that need to be taken, parameters, and the definition, because this is something that it is up to every member state to define, to provide the definition of energy poor households or dwellings. And this is actually these parameters and these definitions are going to be used to the next cycle, next phase of our national alternative programs, such as Save at Home, or other programs that are going to be issued. Now, having said that, this is something that you more or less all know, and the energy efficiency improvement is also related to a lot of other things. Mr. Garcia has already mentioned that it's associated with health issues, with good quality, is associated also with secure jobs, and for the impact assessment we have run for the NECP, we have estimated that with the percentage and energy upgrade of buildings to the percentage of 12 to 15% for building or building units endorsed in the NECP, we have accounted for 20 more than 20,000 direct and indirect jobs in the building sector, in the construction sector. And having said that, I try to be as concise as I could, and if you have any further questions, I'll glad to answer them. Thank you.